Picture this. Me, Reese Witherspoon, in London, ordering fish and chips so often they might start wrapping me in paper. I'm traveling with my Wells Fargo Autograph Journey card, so I earn rewards wherever I book travel. 5 times points with hotels, 4 times with airlines, 3 times on restaurants and other travel, and 1 point on other purchases. Imagine getting rewarded for eating a toad in the hole. Wait, what is a toad in a hole?
Visit wellsfargo.com/autograph journey. Terms apply.
Savage Cut. Real talk, no filter on Savaged Unfiltered. Savaged.
Alrighty, guys. How you doing? Thank you for dropping in to the live stream, guys, as we are live streaming this on Twitter X as well as Rumble. So thank you very much. Get the comments in, guys. I encourage it. I welcome it. And let's get this show started, guys. Today we're going to be joined by a gentleman here that wrote a book about climate change. Okay, just kind of going over some notation here. A gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Charles Hardy. Okay, he's got a book out that basically shows a lot with climate change and how we cannot reverse it, in his words, and other things in that aspect. How we cannot sustain to control it, more or less. The topic, folks, yes, it's a very trending topic, but yet a very heated topic, depending on what side of the aisle you support this, whether it's the right or the left. So I do want to bring in Jeffrey because, he has a book out relating a lot of what we're going to be discussing. Okay, so without further ado, guys, let's bring him in. Jeffrey Charles Hardy, welcome into the show, sir. How you doing?
And thank you, Michael. Looking forward to a chat with you.
Okay. So Jeffrey, let's start off with the book first, foremost. Why did you decide to write this book?
Well, I had a very important reason. We had been hired by the government of Myanmar to help them move into the next generation of health care. Initially, they wanted me to build a hospital when I got over there and noticed that the rural areas of Myanmar were almost near complete, bereft of any health care at all. So we changed our scope, said that what we need to do is have a prototype community development and health center in one of the most rural villages you have ever been to. And so we went there, we built a clinic, and it was wonderful. We were planning on building 250 more of these because it was so successful. It's what all the townships and villages need throughout the rural areas of Myanmar. But what happened only 26 days after the coup of our Congress, the military in Myanmar overthrew the government. 26 days later, they said, well, if Trump can do it, we can do it. That's my interpretation of what happened. And I was left without anything to do. All of a sudden, here I am not helping a whole country. Nothing else to do. So guess what? I wrote a book. And that book is called To Care for Peace, a Global Mandate to Secure the Second Human Evolution in Perpetuity.
Yeah, and I mean, I see you are you're a world-renowned humanitarian, okay, and you're also the founder and president of the Care for Peace Foundation, which is a 50C nonprofit, right? If I'm kind of labeling that correct,
right.
I want to start off with that foundation. What made you start the foundation, Jeffrey?
Well, I had sold my company, my for-profit company, to a Fortune 500 architecture firm in Dallas, Texas. And I decided that since I had been helping all these filthy rich corporations design and build hospitals and mostly manage them, in the United States, I said, this is ridiculous. I'm going to use my skills and help the poorest people in the world. So I ended up doing solo projects for Nigeria, Kenya, Vietnam, other countries. And then I got a call out of the blue about Myanmar, which formerly Burma. It's the country that's just to the left of Thailand. It's squeezed in between Thailand and India, Bangladesh, and then with China above that. So it just happened. And so if they wanted us, I decided, well, I got to legitimize this because I'm going to need more people than just me. So I went from being solo to starting this nonprofit organization called the Care for Peace Foundation.
Yeah, I love it. And I see, you're a facility planner, excuse me. I mean, you've been obviously throughout the United States here. I've noticed, but South America, Asia, and among others. Tell us a little bit about your traveling there, on how, your message has been spread amongst those countries and continents with some of your wording. Are they more or less waking up to the reality behind climate change in that aspect?
I would say I'm the person who's waking up to the realities of the world. I don't think that I have made any dent at all in the world, which is fine because I'm still in a very important learning mode. I had done a lot of speeches, for instance, conferences and conventions on healthcare. And so inside of that very narrowly focused niche, I was pretty well known. But now I've got this book about the whole second human evolution, and it's like there's nothing happening towards that end anywhere in the world. So I had to start small. The starting process is me learning. And frankly, me talking to you and your cohorts throughout the spectrum of podcasting, because you guys are in charge of an incredible process that must occur before any planning can occur. You don't just start
why do you
planning.
say that? If I may chime in, you threw in the term podcasting. You guys are the first, basically in line, with some of your wording that you just presented. Why is that important? And why is podcasting important to explain this, if you don't mind me adding that in?
Oh my gosh, no, it is. I realized that I wanted to stand on a stage eventually and talk about what we need to do, the planning tools, so that we can start thinking and using the right language to go to the next step. Right now, we don't have the tools. We don't have the next step. We've got a lot of silo stuff going on, which is very, very good. I mean, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I mean, we've got a lot of wonderful stuff happening right now, but it's not a consolidated global process.
The reason why I say that, Jeffrey, is because, you mentioned podcasting on how we have to present this more and more on shows like myself and others and stuff like that. I mean, we could do that on regular talk shows, right? Network shows. Can we not?
Yeah.
Or would you rather do it on a podcast because of the narrative that it may, you know what I mean? Like kind of twist. Networks are known to do that, sir. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, but you're challenging me the way maybe a network might do eventually. I'm not at that level yet. I'm at what I consider to be an intelligentsia, level. You are challenging me with the types of questions that I'm going to be getting from the big media. And frankly, these are discussions with you and other podcasters, global podcasters, by the way. I don't do cooking shows. So, You guys, you very narrow niche. You guys have a narrow niche, but your breadth is wide. Your breadth is global. I hope that your shows, and I've looked at some of the things that you're doing and some of the other globals that you're doing. And the fact is, you are carrying a ball that goes into the most important part of planning. And that's the preliminary part, the part that before we plan. I call it pre-planning. It's what we're doing right now. And you're carrying the ball. That's why the podcast is so important. Hey, listen, if I'm on some show like what I was watching last night, with Biden's speech, and I'm sitting on some kind of panel like that with commercials coming in and other people interrupting, I'm not going to be able to discuss the most important topic and look at that important topic with people like you. I need that intelligent conversation without you saying, oh, well, okay, we got a commercial right now. And then everybody starts thinking about, buying Pandex or whatever. Is Pandex anything? I don't know. It must be.
I hear you. I mean, we do. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we do have sponsors and stuff like that we try to plug in and everything. But I mean, I get what you're saying. You lose the material, you lose the momentum of what you're trying to express through some of my listeners and through some of the global listeners that listen into the show. I mean, we're
introducing Fidelity Trader Plus with customizable tools and charts you can access across all your devices. Try our most powerful trading platform yet at fidelity.com/trader plus. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE, SIPC.
Widely spread across about 16 countries right now. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it is awesome. But I want to get into what you're now saying. We are now stuck in the suspended human evolution through some of what you're expressing here through climate change. Why is that, Mr. Hardy? Because the reason why I say that is because a lot of people, especially some on the right, but I'm hearing it. I don't want to put politics in it, but it's become more political than ever. Climate change. It's more politically driven than ever. And we're seeing that a lot on the left on how we can eliminate climate change. I don't think we can eliminate Mother Nature, Jeffrey. No. I think Mother Nature has a higher toll over humanity. Would you not agree to that?
Well, yeah, and I think that the process is the solution, and so we have to start looking at the process that we're going to use to be able to discuss on a global scale what needs to be done to get out of the mess that is here. And it's not just our fault. I mean, nature has something to do with it. Our ancestors have something to do with it. So, we inherited a lot of this problem, but we've got to take what we inherited and say, okay, well, what's happened? Where are we at right now, and where are we going? Do we even know where we're going? I mean, or are we just sitting there watching the seas rise and backing up, at the tide chart, to the point where we can still survive? I mean, that's the alternative. We either plan what we're going to do or not, and I vote for planning.
Yeah, I do too. But a lot of people, the naysayers saying that, they can change it. You bring up an interesting point of our ancestors. A lot of it has to do with our ancestors, making wrongful decisions and things in that aspect. But I don't want to blame ancestors because the reason why I say that is because some of the technology that they were using was nothing near us. I mean, I'm not a climate-controlled cultist in that matter. I do believe that, our seas are rising and our temperature is increasing due to our planet moving more closer to the sun in that aspect, of course. But, I mean, I don't think we can change it. I think it's a little too late. I mean, with some of the technology I just mentioned, some of our ancestors didn't have nearly of what we have today. Right. More cars, vehicles on the road, more refineries, factories coming into play. So as much as, human evolution is increasing and as much as, our forms of technology is increasing, we can't control that. And to kind of go into, a lot of what, you hear on the left that, we could stop that. We can't stop that. The only way you can stop it is if you stop building factories and stop putting more cars on the road. That's how you could stop it. But come on. I mean, even people on the left, people on the right, getting into a political substance of it, they're not going to want to do that, No. This, right. You know what I mean, Jeffrey? Like this thing with electric cars, the push with electric cars, the push for electric panels, that's not gonna change anything. Too. I mean, we're a little too late now to get rid of what we see now. You know what I mean?
And I guess I look at that as, okay, what can I do? Can I sit back and watch and say, okay, there's not a whole lot I can do, or am I going to realize that climate change is a couple of things. First of all, we're talking about the weather when we're thinking about climate change, but what we have to do is change the climate of human thinking. That's the first thing that has to happen. We have to change the climate of our discussions. We have to stand back and look at where we've been. We, as in humanity, this is not the Holocene, which is a geographic concept. It's not the Anthropocene, which is an assumption that 3 million years from now, some alien will come on down and look at the Earth and say, now, ooh, look, something was here after dinosaurs. I wonder, oh, look, there's something that might be humans that were here. They're going to look for trees had tree rings, or they're going to look for a lake that's up in Canada that has sediment on the bottom of the lake that it can actually show when the first nuclear test bomb blew off, because the sediment from that test is now sitting at the bottom of this lake. No, it isn't. This is very simple. Yeah. This is just humanity. This is Homo sapiens and what we did to dominate any other Neanderthals.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we are a dominant species here on this planet, right? I mean, before us, you could say probably, I think you mentioned dinosaurs, right? I think dinosaurs were pretty much the dominant species before we came into play. So, I mean, I'm a firm believer in nature. Dinosaurs, they had their shot, and nature selected them for extinction. So now we're the next primary dominant species here on this planet. So, of course, we were designed for survival, right? We're going to survive no matter what. If that includes, putting more forms of things on this planet to make us more dominant, then that's what humanity is going to do. I mean, we can't change that. As much as climate control activists out there, I want to use that loosely, because you do have some radical ones, that are like, oh, well, vehicles are going to be the death of humanity, and pollution. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, cut that out, because.
You may have noticed this clock in Union Square. Well, it's one of 3 around the world, counting down to the day experts say the worst effects of climate change will become unavoidable, and that day is now less than 5 years away. Joining us now to talk more about that is Gan Golan, one of the co-founders of Climate Clock, and Brooklyn City Council member Sandy Nurse. Thank you both for being with us.
Great. Wonderful to be here.
Gan, let me start with you. What inspired this? It certainly gets a lot of attention.
Well, it actually came from a very personal place. My first child was born the same week that this very terrifying report was released by the International Panel on Climate Change that said we only had a few years left. And that was the inspiration. We needed to have our global deadline. Everywhere in the world, we needed to have a global timekeeper telling us to stay on track, to meet the climate deadlines we have, and implement the positive climate solutions that we need to avoid the worst impacts of climate change, but also to secure the just, livable future that we deserve for ourselves, for our children, and for future generations. And so this gives us a very crystal clear mission, and it's meant to keep us on pace and on time to creating the future we need.
Because, humanity is going to do what it wants to do to survive. I think that's why we were designed. I mean, to survive, and we're going to do whatever it takes to survive. So, I mean, you could change anything you want to change, but, now I want to go into something you mentioned earlier before, because you got into something with Donald Trump on how Donald Trump inspired some form of a military coup. And then you reacted to that scenario very, I don't want to use the word severely, but, it caught your attention. Why did that catch your attention, Jeffrey? You seem like you were distraught by it. Yeah.
Very, sure. Because here I am in a country that, you can compare Myanmar to Taiwan. Okay. Taiwan is in a threatening position. It's being threatened by China and the whole one China stuff. And so Myanmar was just like Taiwan. It was just like that when I was over there. It was like, wow, here's this great democracy. Because Aung San Suu Kyi, the Nobel Prize winning woman whose National League for Democracy was really bringing in democracy to the country in a free market economy. And it was absolutely wonderful because for about 12 years, the country was going in the right direction. It was going to be a Taiwan. It was going to have its own government and it was going to work. So all of a sudden the military coup occurred, and you have to, there's lots of stuff. The fact is China is very involved in Myanmar because they've built roads and oil pipelines all the way to the Bay of Bengal through Myanmar. Okay, so the military coup was, as far as I see it, no different than China just taking over Taiwan. And that was a major problem with the military coup in Myanmar. And we didn't pay any attention to it because we were thinking about our own Congress. We were thinking about our own problem that we had at that point. And
so you don't think Donald Trump changed anything in that aspect, you're saying?
I do. I absolutely do.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're on the right track. Yeah.
No, believe me. I think that just what has happened when Trump changed what came into office and what he has represented afterwards, in my opinion, is a attempt to keep our feet, dragging our feet in the first human evolution that ended sometime in the mid-'60s, and that we've got to face where we are now. And Trump is just still in the first human evolution. He has not a clue of where we are now when it comes to human evolution. In the mid-'60s, we had the peace movement. But we also had, and the reason why I call it the mid-'60s is because humans had basically taken over nature. We had conquered nature. We became the keystone animal, if you want to look at it from the new terminology coming from the sociobiological people. And that's also when we had mutually assured destruction. But at the same time, we had the peace movement. We had the existential movement. We had, people were starting to look at, holy Moses, what are we doing? What have we done? And now we're in that, what have we done? Where are we? And what the heck is next moment? And because I'm a planner.
What's going on? I'm Arch Manning, Viore athlete and college quarterback. Whether I'm running, training, traveling, or just unwinding at home, I love doing it in my core shorts from Viore. With a breathable boxer brief liner, they're quick to dry, super versatile, and stand up to even my most intense training sessions. Plus, they come in 3 inseams and a ton of colors. Ready to try a pair? Go to viore.com/arch and get 20% off at checkout. I think you're going to love them as much as I do. That's VUORI.com/ARCH and get 20% off your first order. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Have a great day.
If you're a QuickBooks customer looking to grow your business without the growing pains, you need the Intuit ERP. Upgrade to Intuit Enterprise Suite in a matter of hours. It's the AI-native ERP from the makers of QuickBooks. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
Because I'm a planner, I'm thinking that excuse me, go ahead.
No. I was getting what you were saying, but we're kind of getting in the middle of the conversation, guys. And I mean, you're listening to Jeffrey Hardy here. He is an author, and he has a tremendous interest towards a lot of what we're discussing here with climate change, and on some of it, how we can't reverse it. And I firmly believe that you can't erase something, or you can't reverse something that is already occurring. There's no such thing in even an hour form of technology, yet alone existence on this planet, with scientific background of data in regarding that, where we can't reverse stuff that already occurred. I mean, to kind of make a goof and a pun, you look at the old Back to the Future movies. I mean, you can't go back in time, folks. Literally, you can't go back in time. But I do believe that we have some people viewing us here live on X and Rumble, guys. I encourage you to get the comments in. If you have anything you want to learn or anything you want to discuss, please, I'd really encourage you guys to be part of the program. I really enjoy the comments coming in, and we'll plug them in for our featured guests here. But you mentioned something very interesting, Jeffrey, with how Donald Trump made of a change there with the climate change earlier in your statement there, but you left something at the end that kind of got to me a little bit, where he made change, but yet alone he doesn't have a clue. Like, why doesn't he have a clue?
Savaged with Michael Gardner on Spotify.
I mean, we have an education system, and I have no idea why he doesn't have a clue, because I certainly have learned from my education, and I've learned from the people that I know. I absolutely cannot answer your question.
I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires in the West are raging now. They have burned millions of acres. They have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. When state officials there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful, clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our numbers right now, we are doing phenomenally. But I haven't destroyed our businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it was a disaster from our standpoint. And people are actually very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else. The forest floors are loaded up with trees, dead trees that are years old, and they're like tinder, and leaves and everything else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest management.
What do you
Got
believe?
to have cut.
I was born raised in the same era as he, and I don't know how he escaped hearing any of the things that I heard and learning how to mull over things and learning how to think. I mean, my father taught me how to think, and my wife has helped me think because that's part of the dialogue, and that's what we're doing right now. But I've never seen Trump in a actual discussion where he allows an idea to be something that he stands back and looks at. Even when he's being interviewed by people, he interrupts. He just comes out with his own statements, and he does not know how to have a discussion. And you have to understand how forensic dialogue occurs. You have to have read at least something by Plato. It doesn't,
right. The interrupting, I think that comes from the experience and the negotiation skills through his background of that. I mean, he is a businessman. He is an extraordinary negotiator, shows a lot of skills and talent behind that. So I think, and this is my personal opinion, guys. I mean, you could call me whatever you want to call me, but I mean, I think, even in a role as president or any member of a federal area in that aspect, I do believe that you need to negotiate, you need to chime in, interrupt when necessary. So I mean, I won't take it from that. I think that if he's not interrupting, he's allowing that narrative or that type of topic to be presented in a way only the others are wanting to have it put in, right? So if you're not interrupting, you're allowing things to happen when you can kind of control the conversation and aspect. Not control them, but control it on how it's going to go, but have it presented on a healthy level. I mean, would that make sense? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. The key word here is control. When I'm talking with you, I am enjoying this conversation being bounced back and forth. I'm not here to control what you're thinking, or I'm not here to control your mind. I'm here to throw an idea out.
Sure.
That's why I love these podcasters, because you're giving me ideas. Thank you. I want to talk about those ideas. Trump does not do that. Trump says, no, this is what I believe, and I'm going to interrupt you because you're just, you're not paying any attention to what I'm trying to control you. I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. No, I don't like the word control. You can control the discussion if you are part of it, but you have to be part of it in order to control.
The reason why I said control, I used the term control the narrative, okay? Because especially on the political scale, we're discussing a lot about climate change and everything else with humanity, right? Human evolution in that aspect. Now, if I weren't able, okay, to chime in and slightly interrupt in a conversation, well, then that narrative only goes on one side and it doesn't go on two sides. See, when you're discussing something with the narrative, with the topic, it requires two sides of the conversation, me and you. Now, if you're only speaking so much and I'm not allowing myself to chime in, well, then that narrative is going to be twisted only on your side of the opinion or the argument, right? And that goes with politics too. So if Donald Trump is sitting in a meeting, right, as president, and he's not chiming in and he's not allowing himself to interrupt in the conversation, well, then respectfully, he doesn't have a hand in that conversation. He doesn't have an opinion towards it. And no one's going to understand his side of his view on it, right? I mean, that would make sense. Yeah. So I think that's why he interrupts, because, again, going back to the narrative, if you're not interrupting or you're not chiming in, well, then the narrative gets twisted. You ever heard the term twisting the language? You're twisting the language to line your own opinion.
Well, allow me to interrupt you here, because I agree with you about interrupting. So I have no dispute about the process of interrupting, because it is part of moving a conversation along.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so you aren't going to get any argument from me at all. In fact, I'm going to support you in that effort. I just think that when you are having a forensic discussion, that you're talking about an issue and you have to listen and you have to say, oh, that's really interesting. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. That's a good idea. Let's explore that, because I think it's fascinating. You've introduced why, okay, he interrupts. But what I'm thinking about is, why is he taking on the issue as an opinion instead of something to discuss? And by the way, we all do that. We bring our opinions to the table. And one of the things that I do as a planner is try to get everybody to back up from their opinion level before the discussion occurs. Because if you're bringing your opinion in, then it's a fight. And I don't want to see those fights. So I want to see more dialogue like what you and I are having. And that's part of pre-planning. For instance, when I have maybe 14 people in a room at the very beginning of planning a $2 billion hospital or a medical center or something, the first thing I do is get them out of the room and we go tour other hospitals so that we have a commonality of observation. And then we're discussing what it is we see. And that way we can compare what I see and what you see. And these things become central to our ability to discuss things. Oh, you really think that room that the patients are staying in is too small? Wow, I think it's too big, because I've been seeing these rooms in the third world countries, and there's 100 patients all in the same room. I think that the room that we're just looking at, you say that's too small. I'd say that's the biggest room I've ever seen. So all of a sudden, you've got the discussion based on what people have seen and how they perceive. So that's really so. I'd like to get away from.
Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. I'm stepping over you.
No, I'd like to get away from talking about Trump, because I think that we need to be talking about what it is that we use as the tools for our discussions. And
I think you have to become more of a visionary in that aspect, right? Like you mentioned something,
Yes.
You want to get them out of the room. You want to have them tour different areas. Absolutely. I mean, no one's going to understand what you're trying to present unless you show them. So I think, becoming a visionary, becoming more hands-on is more appropriate in that aspect. But to kind of close it out with you a little bit here with you, Jeffrey, I want to get into a little bit of, where you'd like to bring this form of, climate change and human evolution and everything else that, you seem to kind of, I don't want to say run on, but, maybe practice, maybe it would be the correct terminology for it. So, I mean, where do you see us going forward in that aspect? We can't reverse it, Jeffrey. That's a given. I mean, that's just common sense 101. But how can we learn from the mistakes to create a better future in that aspect?
Wow, that's the question. You just asked the right question.
Okay.
How? It's not where, because we don't even know where yet. We haven't even stood back. We haven't looked at the world and, looked at the trajectory of humanity from 2.5 million years ago to today. We haven't really looked at that, like backing up with my people and going and looking at different hospitals and being able to look at what it is and share a commonality of personal and group experience. That's how we move ahead. Now, how do we do that specifically? I am doing it already, because I'm doing it in the healthcare field, and I've been doing it in the healthcare field. I've been doing it in different countries in the healthcare field. I've done it at the government level, I've done it at the private level, and I've done it at the village level, at the smallest village level, because I've been practicing this process that is the solution. It's not that, when you hear AT&T's commercial that the system is the system is a solution, forget it. That's not true. The system is the result of a process, and it better be a good process, because at the end of that process, you will have a system, and that system better include processes that are used. Because if your process is to invent a telephone, then it's not going to be a rotary dial phone or even a push button phone. The system is not the solution. It's the process that we have to be thinking about during the pre-planning stage. That's the key. It's because during pre-planning, which is how we move ahead, it's not where, because we got to be thinking about where. And during the pre-planning phase, we need to use the tools that, as I say, I'm already using some of them. And every single time I do this, it's different. it's always different. It's never
sure.
the same, you know, which is beautiful because a lot of the tools are designed by the people who are standing back and looking at the same thing. The commonality that occurs when we stand back and look at the same thing, that's when we develop the tools. I can bring my tools that I've had before, but you're going to be bringing your tools. You're going to be coming in and saying, well, now this is interesting because when I'm talking to people on podcasts, I try to keep them focused. Okay. How do you keep them focused? Let's tell us about it. How do you do that?
Yeah, so, I mean, how do you keep them focused? I mean, I noticed we have viewers in the live stream, right? A lot actually, and they just don't want to comment. Sometimes, hey, it's okay. Sometimes we can comment, sometimes we don't. Hopefully, we're not boring you. Hopefully, we're informing you, educating you. That's what we have to bring back in this country, Jeffrey. We need to bring back more education, the right education. We need to inform people the right way instead of twisting the narrative of the language towards the topic, right? We could discuss anything we want to discuss about climate change and how to create a better Earth and how to create a better United States in that aspect. But how do we get people to understand it without making it radicalized political background of it? Because that's what people seem to understand better, the radicalization through it. Well, the Republicans are destroying climate change when Democrats are trying to sustain it. I mean, that's not teaching anybody something.
No.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
That's
totally
just making
agree.
it a lot worse.
Here. No, I really like that, what you were just saying, because see, you're not the president. I'm not the president. And so we have the luxury of talking and saying, oh my God, that's a good idea. I think I'm gonna change my mind so that I can use that tool. I'm gonna change my mind so that I can not even change my mind. I'm gonna back up a little bit and take a look at the world the way you're looking at. This is the how that I'm talking about. This is the how that you're asking that we do. And I think that what you're doing, again, is more important than what the president is saying. I just feel that what you're doing is you're looking at the world. That's your job as a global podcaster. You're looking at the world. You're talking to people who are also looking at the world. I'm just one of your podcast guests. You've got a whole bunch of them. I saw you had 580 or something.
Different backgrounds, Yeah,
that's wonderful. I hope you write a book, or at least you.
I have written many books. My first 2 books were political. I'm trying to get into a mix of mesh of things. We got one book out. America's Political Warfare: A Modern Civil War. Just got a book that just got released this week through A Savaged America. Because we're becoming more radicalized, and it's sad that we are, the most powerful nation on the earth, the only nation that's looked upon with high standards throughout other countries in this world, but yet alone we're going back again as a laughingstock because of our decisions on a political scale, and that's sad. So I do write books, and I encourage others to write books because books are. Back in the day, Jeffrey, books were looked at very, very high standards, and they were used to inform and educate people. That's a thing of the past now. Now you have broadcasters on there that are, willing to do disgusting sexual rhetoric and other rhetoric just to sell themselves. When before it was something entirely different. We got to get away from that. It's okay to be humor, right? I am a podcaster. I do bring on all walks of life here on here. I've had comedians, I've had authors, I've had congressional leaders, I've had former Secret Service agents, I've had former CIA agents on my show. But that's not enough. I want more on the show to encourage and inform people because it's all about informing. Yes, you can throw the comedy in there, because I do believe that our country has to go back to laughter, because laughter is the greatest medicine in the world. It decreases stress levels and anxiety and everything else. But we're not that nation anymore. We're very serious, and we're very triggered and very sensitive. And I don't want that anymore. I want to go back to what we once were. That's what makes the United States great. I mean, we could talk about climate change. We could talk about human evolution. We could talk about technology all day. And we could spend all day to try to inform people on the seriousness behind all this. But it's really up to the individual, the people that are listening, to understand it of how we're presenting it. And if they're not going to understand it, or they're not willing to understand it, well, then I'm wasting their time, and they're wasting their time in listening, because you truly have to listen to something in order to fully comprehend it. And that's what I'm trying to do on the show.
Right.
So
no, that's excellent. And one of the things that when I'm talking to mostly younger people, teenagers and young college kids, they say, well, what can we do? And I says, well, start asking the right questions and then start leading the discussion, because the discussion is not your opinion versus somebody else's opinion, because nobody wins an argument with opinions. That just doesn't work. Talk about standing back and looking at the world situation and start talking about the big problem. Go ahead, talk about overpopulation, militarization, overburdening the planet. Start at some of these big issue things, and then start talking about what you think is the best way to approach these global problems. That's what you can do. And you can help it by being positive and listening. What you were talking about listening to people and to start mulling over these ideas together, but lead the conversation and lead it with the right heart, and that's where caring for peace comes in. My caring for peace. I mean, that is your ability to care about peace, about your own peace, care for peace, and then care to the point where you take care of peace once you have it. And this can go from every individual level to the global level. You have to have that feeling of care, which, love and attention and positive spirit must be brought to the conversation. And just complaining is not working. Complaining, forget it.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeffrey, I want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Very informative. It seems like you are wanting to do the right thing and its right purpose, and I appreciate that. We need more people like you. For some of the listeners that are listening in, including the live stream listeners, where can they find some of your work, sir? I always ask the guests because it's you that are pushing it and you that are promoting it. So for some of the work that you have here, including your books, some appearances, I'll give you a couple minutes to plug if you'd like, sir.
I wrote a book, but I'm not doing it to get a ton of money. I'm doing it. It's more of a calling card than anything else. So, and you can get it on Amazon. It's called To Care for Peace, a global mandate to secure the second human evolution and perpetuity. And if that isn't subtitle enough, I also have my most important quote on the bottom of the front cover, and that is, the process is the solution. Now,
I love it.
What I tell people is you don't have to buy the book. Just go to the Amazon site, because you'll be able to read the front cover and see it, and then look at the blurb that they've published completely on the Amazon site and read the blurb. That's enough. You don't have to buy the book. I don't care. It's not, if you want to buy the book, you can, because you're going to be able to read the Care for Peace templates, 4 of which are vital to understanding how to have a discussion about where we've been, where we are now, and where we are going, hopefully to the second human evolution, which is a safe harbor. And I would only end this conversation by saying thank you, Michael, for what you are doing. I cannot thank you enough for what you're doing. Who else is going to say thank you? You know, as I say, I'm not the president, but if I were, I think the first thing I do is say, hey, Michael Gardner, thank you. Really appreciate what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate the books that you have out on Amazon, guys. Check them out. Jeffrey on Amazon here. Jeffrey Charles Hardy. Jeffrey, just a little side note. If some of the listeners that are tuning into the episode here would like to check out some of your books, I know there's an author section on many authors on Amazon. If they just search Jeffrey Charles Hardy, will that go right to your books at all, or is there a certain name that you have to?
I don't know. If you go to Care for Peace book, it'll be on the first page. So,
okay. The reason why I'm asking that is because there's a lot of authors on Amazon, you know, that have author pages, and if you just search Jeffrey Charles Hardy, usually it pops right up with all your available books that you have published and for sale. So, but thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it. And guys, again, check out some of his books on Amazon. We'll put in the show notes, guys, if you missed some of the appearances that he's been affiliated and lined with, a lot actually, and some of his work. Jeffrey, thank you very much, and take it easy, sir.
Savaged with Michael Gardner on Spotify.
You too, but take it hard.
Alrighty, guys. Wow. What a tremendous individual we've had on the show. I get a lot of interesting guests that come along here every now and then. You know, we get some requests by some people we have to sometimes screen, you know, look at them, make sure that they're going to be an okay guest to bring on, because, you know, it's podcasting, guys. Podcasting in the 21st century. Everyone has a story. Everyone has books. Everybody has messaging they want to try to air on a worldwide stage, such as podcasting. But this gentleman, not bad. I like him. I'm going to check out his books, and I encourage you guys to do the same. Thanks very much, guys, and until next time, take it easy.